Space and Security will take visitors on a journey through the works of 10 pioneering modern artists, taking a closer look at the ways these artists use space to either enhance or destroy their viewers' sense of peace and security. The Impressionists and Post-Impressionists were some of the earliest Western artists to experiment with the modification of space. Van Gogh uses jarring alterations of depth, line, and color in his piece Night Cafe to depict for the viewer a subjective, anxiety-warped view of a space that seems anything but peaceful and serene. Tatlin's corner counter-relief moves the manipulation of space out of the canvas and into the real world, merging art into life in typical Russian constructivist fashion. Tatlin's machine-like installation resonates with the ideals of peace, security, and progress prevalent in early communist Russia. Bauhaus figure Laszlo Mihaly Nagy's light space modulator similarly asserts power of machinery. Not only does its serene repetitive motion have a calming effect on its emotional security, but it is one of the very first works of art that addresses the profound effect that light and motion have on space. The Nominal 3 by Dan Flavin is another magnificent example of how even very minor manipulations of light can completely alter the experience of a space. With just 3 fluorescent tubes, Flavin transforms a simple room into a transcendent, almost sacred-feeling area of peace and serenity. Alternatively, Alan Capro uses a maximalist aesthetic in the presentation of his environment Yard. Filling his space to the brim with tires, Capro transforms a room into a veritable industrial wasteland that calls to mind the overwhelming decay and violence of 1970s New York City. In a return to the figurative, George Siegel creates what is essentially a 3-dimensional painting in his installation Gas Station. Siegel's poignant symbolism combined with his unsettling use of negative space contributes to the apparent unease of his ghostly figures. Elizabeth Murray's painting More Than You Know brings us back into the world of the two-dimensional, flattening space to a nearly unrecognizable degree, and suggesting the ways that domestic pressures can contort a woman's psyche in a similar way. Ilya Kabakov's The Man Who Flew to Space from his apartment building presents the viewer with a similarly haunted space, allowing them to peer into the absurd aftermath of a fictitious hero's escape from his oppressive Soviet-era room. While addressing the issue of peace and security in politics, there are few pieces more profound than Maya Lin's Vietnam War Memorial in Washington, D.C. Endowing the negative space with extraordinary power, Lin literally carves a wound into the earth and creates a meditative space for visitors to mourn and reflect on what is lost. And finally, Christo and Jean-Claude take on space on an epic scale with their piece Running Fence. Ironically, though this massive work of land art looks serenely beautiful in photographs, its size forced the artist to negotiate with numerous landowners, some of whom actively protested the project.
That's art? Some lousy curtain coming through here with a bunch of city slickers looking at it? The hell with it. I'm against it. I think it's stupid.